Let's take a look at the generative fill and generative expand capabilities within Photoshop. These features are super cool and a result of Adobe's continued investment in artificial intelligence. They created a tool called Adobe Firefly for generative AI, and now this technology is embedded right inside Photoshop. This means that we can add or remove objects, expand images, and generate backgrounds or other content using artificial intelligence, and it will automatically detect and match the perspective, lighting, and stylistic elements of our images. Unlike Photoshop's content-aware tools, which only draw from your current image source, Adobe's generative AI models are trained on millions of photos from their stock library and also from the public domain in ways designed to be free of copyright concerns and safe for commercial use. So generative AI is super fun to play with, and at times it really can feel like magic. So let's explore. I'm going to make a duplicate of my layer here, and let's say I wanted to expand this image out. It was cropped a little bit tightly and kind of centered awkwardly, and I'd really like her to be pulling this cart sort of further out into this space. So what I'm going to do is go over to my crop tool here, and I'm going to expand this out. And how it expands, by default, it would actually fill the expansion here with the background color. So in that case, white. But I can also choose generative or content aware fill and also generative expand. Let's take a look at actually the aware fill first. And if I actually bring this out and decide to use my content aware fill tools, we can take a look at what it does. Now, it tried, but it's a bit awkward. It's basically just cloning a lot of content from my current image and trying to paste it in there in ways that make sense. And honestly, it does a good job at times, but this is a bit of an awkward image. And if I was printing this, it would be noticeably strange. Let's explore that with Generative Expand instead. So I'm going to back up with Control Z here. And instead of Content Aware Fill, I'm going to use the Generative Expand tool. And I'll go back to my crop tool and expand this out so that I have a lot more room that she'll be pulling the cart into. And then what I can do is click to generate some content. Now you can prompt it with particular content you want to see generated, but if you just leave it blank and hit generate, it will just analyze the current image and try and fill things in that would be natural for that particular image. And you'll see it does a remarkable job. Sometimes it takes a little while, but it gives us some options here, what it calls variations. So in the properties, I've got some different variations of what it might fill in. And it's a lot more natural than the content aware fill was. So using artificial intelligence, it's actually creating a scene that's pretty realistic, both in the clouds and also the prairie that's here. And we can choose different options and from the variations to see which ones we kind of like best. It's also non-destructive. I can turn that layer all the way off, and I could, work with that layer in different ways. If you don't like what it produced, you could always generate something else by clicking the generate option again in the properties, and then you'll get 3 new options that it's generating. And each time it's going to be a little bit different. And so you'll find one ultimately, hopefully, that sort of matches your vision of what you wanted to happen here. Here it's kind of continuing the road I see in a way that might be nice. Some of these sort of change the environment a little bit more. So we could explore these. If we decided we didn't like any of these things, what we actually wanted to see was, let's say, some wildflowers or something in the scene. We could add a prompt here instead. And so what I'll do is add the prompt of wildflowers and have it generate those. Again, it's going to take just a little bit. And sometimes you have to engineer your prompt and feed it different ideas that match your own vision. The first time around, we're getting these really large wild flowers that are sort of in the foreground. Maybe that's not what I'd want for this particular image. And instead, I might say like small scattered wildflowers and see what that might generate. And so this requires play and experimentation, but it's somewhat magical in what it can do. Hopefully you've already played with some of the generative AI tools that are out there. But you can see that in this case, I'm getting at least a little bit smaller imagery that's there. and we might have to continue to play from here to get the result that we're really truly looking for. Let's explore generative fill in a little bit more detail in the next video.